Arizona, Colorado, Indiana, Michigan, New Jersey, Tennessee, and Virginia. Listen up. WynnBET is now live in all these states, and the excitement of Wynn Las Vegas has finally landed in online sports betting and casino play. From boosted parlays to live in-game offs on every major sport, WynnBET gives you the tools to win. Sign up today for your risk-free $1,000 sports bet. Download the WynnBET app now or visit wynnbet.com to start winning.
You're listening to Mile High Insiders with Nick Kendell and Luke Patterson. Head on over to milehighhuddle.com for all things Broncos. Now, it's time to find out what's going on behind the walls of UC Health Training Center.
Saturday night, 6 p.m. Mountain Time, and that means it's time for an episode of Mile High Insiders. We're rocking the gear, we're rocking the swag, and we're excited to talk some football with, on the night, the doorstep of the biggest game for the Broncos in 5 years. Welcome in, Luke. I hope you're as hyped as I am for this game, man.
Yeah, man. We're talking college football today, and we get to roll right out of it into Sunday Night Football tomorrow. I know the games are going to be crazy in the day. It's going to be weird. We thought the Broncos would only have one primetime game. The NFL knew what they were doing. The NFL tends to be ahead of the curve by 1 to 2 weeks. And when they flexed this game, Broncos-Chiefs making it primetime, we knew it was going to be hot. We knew there were going to be tons of storylines. I can't wait to get into it, man, because I'm getting really, really excited. I think for the first time in a long time, the Broncos are going in there with some of their best resources that they've ever had. And they're certainly full of flaws, but I can't wait to chalk it up, man.
Yeah, and I'm ready to get into some of the data side of things as well. You know how I am, very data-oriented and driven. And I did some digging today and found some weird, interesting metrics that I want to talk about as far as it pertains to the Broncos and the Chiefs. But we'll get into that here. Let's say hi to some people in the house today joining us on Saturday. JJ saying, I like pie. What's your favorite pie, Luke? We're still on the Thanksgiving season. What's your favorite pie?
My mama's strawberry rhubarb. I'm going to go with that. She makes like a lattice crust with it too. Zero hesitation there. How about you?
Some people say it's baby food, but I still love a good pumpkin pie. That's really good. Also, fresh apple pie. We had an apple tree in my backyard growing up, and we'd pick some and cook that, and really good. Love those spices in there. We got KB82 coming in here saying, out in Atlanta for my dad's 75th birthday. Didn't realize the SEC championship was today until tickets were $500 a piece. I don't know if Georgia knew the SEC championship was today as well, because woof, man, Alabama looking like Alabama.
That's our KB, right? Because I'm pretty sure I saw that French toast picture this morning too, KB. That thing looked fire, by the way. I hope you're doing well. Happy belated Thanksgiving. Our guy Jeff is in the house saying what's up and hello to everybody. Mike S from Alabama, always repping Broncos country as well. Our guy Dylan Von Arks, always helping us to the highest level here at MHH. Our guy Peter, I see him. David in the house. It's going to be fun to have a big, big game. Man, meaningful football, Nick. That's something George Payton talked about when he took the job. The Broncos need to play meaningful football in December. We've got it tomorrow. And that's something to be excited about.
Listen up, Broncos country. TickPick should be your first choice to buy football tickets because they save fans money by never charging any service fees ever. TickPick is the exclusive ticketing partner for the Huddle Up podcast and the Blue Wire Network.
Denver Broncos football is finally back, and there's no need to exhaust yourself searching all over the internet to find Broncos tickets anymore, because TickPick, that's TickPick, is the original no-fee ticket site and the only one you'll ever need as your go-to for all NFL tickets. TickPick got rid of all those awful service fees that the other ticket sites charge, which lets them guarantee the best prices on all of their NFL tickets. Don't believe it? If you can find better prices for the same seats on another ticket site, TickPick will give you 110% of the difference in the purchase price.
That's right, guys. When we were searching for tickets for the MHH meet and greet for Week 3 at home, Broncos versus Jets, TickPick had us locked down. So visit tickpick.com/huddle today and use the promo code HUDDLE to save $10 on your first order of Broncos tickets.
Amen, man. We got that. We got Big E coming in saying, go drive the quarterback from Cincinnati. Obviously talking a little Desmond Ritter there. Dave Glassman's in the house, maybe with some stars. Yeah, Dave is always giving the stars. Scott's giving the star sign. Meaningful December football. Man, you got to love it. It is absolutely beautiful. And we talked about it here was the stat from somebody saying get a lead. Don't see where it is right here. But here we go. from Desert Creature, Broncos get a lead this year. I was digging through all the games, and I know it's only a sample size of 11 for the Broncos this year, but so far, the first team for all the Broncos game this season, first team to 10 points has won every game.
That sounds about right, because we know that Vic Fangio has only won one game when trailing double digits at halftime, and you're playing a Chiefs team that can put up points. Now, they're not putting up points as fast and furious as they have the last 2 to 3 years under Pat Mahomes, but that doesn't change the fact that they are a dangerous football team. We can look at all the little bizarre statistics that the Chiefs have this year, including Teddy Bridgewater's numbers looking better than Pat Mahomes. We know that Pat Mahomes is still the better quarterback, but it's ultimately coming down to that philosophical question of, are you going to stay true to who you are as a team? Because the Kansas City Chiefs are probably going to get a lead on you at some point in this game. Pat Shurmur, how are you going to respond to that? Are you going to panic and go full wide and go passing? Or are you going to stay true to what's gotten you to this record? Just one game above 500, but you're at this point in the season where you can truly form your identity. Even though we're midway through, you form an identity in Kansas City at GHA. I know it's weird saying GHA instead of Arrowhead Stadium, but that's truly going to work wonders for the Broncos.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You're correct there. Philip coming in saying, do I have confidence that Iowa's going to win tonight and go Broncos? Honestly, Iowa probably shouldn't even be there. Wisconsin dropped a game against Minnesota to put Iowa in there. So honestly, just happy to be here. I'm happy for the Hawkeyes to get a chance to in a crack at it. Just like I'm happy the Broncos are here, 6-5, meaningful football in Arrowhead, playing with house money, so to speak, because nobody is expecting you to win. So we'll see what happens though.
Do you know the line on the game? I haven't seen.
Both games are 10. Both games are 10 for Michigan and 10 for Kansas City. So I'm a double dog this week, but just happy to be alive, happy to be here. We got the Joes in the house too saying, let's go Broncos. This is the year we beat Kansas City. This might be the year, but this might not be the game. Obviously, the Broncos are going to get another crack at Kansas City, week 18, first week 18 ever, with the last game of the season. And hopefully the Broncos come out and have a good game week 13 this week against Kansas City. But they got a lot going against them, right? Andy Reid, 19-3 all time, coming off the bye. Denver's 3-19 in December games at Arrowhead. And Kansas City's defense they were historically bad the first 5 weeks of the season. They've been playing good ball the last few weeks. So they look like the old Chiefs, very much more like I would say the Super Bowl season Chiefs when the defense stepped up versus the juggernaut Chiefs of 3 years ago and last year.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And if you're the Denver Broncos, you're finally getting healthy. You're getting some guys back. You're getting a Garrett Bowles back. You're getting Bradley Chubb, who's going to be playing more snaps than he did last week. Now, let's talk a little Melvin Gordon. He's not going to play. Chad Jensen wrote up a nice little article on milehighhuddle.com, just kind of forecasting what it's going to look like tomorrow. I think Zach Kelberman did as well. With Pookie, Javonte Williams is the number one back. Mike Boone is going to be getting some reps as well. The Broncos did sign Demarie Crockett, running back to the active roster, waiving Tyree Cleveland. So you're getting Garrett Bowles back, getting Bobby Massey back, possibly. I know Quinn Miners was questionable, but he's playing. Dalton Reisner, I feel like he's going to be playing, even though he left that game last week with the back injury. Hard to say. Natani Moody came in, was an awesome road grader. But if you're Denver, you got to be feeling good about getting your franchise left tackle back. I know that Garrett Bowles has had somewhat of a mixed review type of a season, and he's been out for a significant amount of time due to injury and that funny little bug list. But it's one of those things where if you're Denver, you got to be feeling good getting 72 back at least on offense.
Yeah, 72. And do we hear if Massey's back yet? I feel like he's trending that way, but I don't know if there's a definitive answer.
Yeah, I think he's kind of questionable. I would love for him to be back. It sounded like at the beginning of the week, coach made it sound like, oh, we're going to get our tackles back. I'm not totally sure. I'm hoping, but I think it could be Fleming out there. It's just going to be bizarre to see, man. I mean, yeah, it's a tackle. The rotating tackles and musical chairs on the offensive line continue, but this offensive line has got to get things going. We want to run the ball, but you got to protect Teddy Bridgewater, who's banged up, sporting a gnarly leg cast thing at practice all week as well.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely correct there. And what the Broncos look like at tackle in this game is going to be in my opinion, a big indicator of what they can do schematically versus the Chiefs. And also on the interior, we're Dalton Reisner with a back injury, suffered in the last game against the Chargers, and he is questionable as well, I believe. And I know that a lot of people are really excited about Natane Moody and Quinn Miners, rightfully so, because they're their splash plays are very obvious on tape, but they have some very big lows, valleys, if you will, in pass protection. And going up against Chris Jones with his length, Netane Moody specifically is one that scares the absolute bleep out of me in pass protection, because like Chris Jones has 4 or 5 inches per arm length on each side, and Moody's struggled with length in his young career in pass pro so far. So it's going to be tough. It's going to be a tough game, but it's, we'll see. And one game, you just have to beat them once, right? That's just this game in front of you. That's why you play the game too.
Yeah, Nick, you hit the nail on the head. Chris Jones is nasty right now, and I don't think Broncos country is completely aware of what he's doing. They moved him from outside to inside, and it's been such a great move. He's a dynamic pass rusher. He's a great run stuffer. He's aggressive. He's nasty. I mean, I wrote about it on milehighhuddle.com. You're going to have to street fight this man within the rules. That's why you have a Quinn Miners. Lloyd Cushenberry, you're still struggling, but you know what, man? You need to fight, because that's the only way that you're going to stay competitive. And speaking of fight, Peter Middleton is always in the fight with us here at MHH, always supporting us. We really appreciate you, Peter. Let's go Broncos. The best rookie center in the draft or the best free agent? Early draft talk. I love it, Peter. Already scratching that itch for Nick and I with the draft. I see best rookie center, and I can't help but think about Creed Humphrey, Nick, with Kansas City right now and what he's doing with Joe Thuney at left guard. Can you talk to Broncos country a little bit about what makes Creed Humphrey a special rookie center?
He is big, and he's very solid in pass protection, and the Chiefs have an offense that I think highlights what he does best. If they were asking him to play the style of offense that, like, let's say the Eagles are doing right now, or the Colts are doing right now, I don't think Humphrey would be as good. But as far as solid pass protection on the interior, he looks pretty darn good. I think he's a good fit there for them, and he's a good athlete. As far as drafting the best center in the draft, that'd be Iowa's Tyler Linderbaum coming out this year. I kind of grit my teeth using a top 15 pick at the center position, but he's about as safe as you could possibly get at that position. I'm not ready to give up on Lloyd Cushenberry. I know that maybe he's not a long-term answer at the center position, but I think he's coming off maybe the best 3-game stretch of his career. Famous last words before he goes up against Chris Jones. But he's been playing pretty well, and also you're paying him diddly, right? So, like, it'd be great to get a good center, but, like, you have arguably Cushenberry's next season will be better yet, and then his 4th season after that, 2 more years of control. I don't think there's any reason to force a substitution there right now. We'll see how he plays down the stretch. We got more starts coming from Peter back to back. I said from preseason that Chiefs would be the worst this season. Broncos win. This might be the Broncos' hardest game of the entire year. I mean, obviously the bye week, Chiefs have been humming. So the season's not over if the Broncos lose this week. But if they win, man, they only have to go probably like about 500 down the stretch to make the playoffs. So that'd be incredible. Man, I'm really hoping for a win. Broncos country will be riding sky high if we can go into Arrowhead and come out with a W.
It can be done. The Chargers did it. The Green Bay Packers almost did it with Jordan Love. I know that Kansas City's this big red monster that we can't get rid of, and they're under our bed and they've got our number. But this team can be beat. They really can. It doesn't mean it's going to be easy. But Pat Mahomes, what does he like to do besides score points? He likes to play hero ball, and that's got him in a lot of trouble this year. Andy Reid's he doesn't want to run the ball. He's not interested in it at all. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, I'm not even sure if he's going to go this week. He's been a huge disappointment. Yeah. I mean, it's just one of those things where you know what the Chiefs are going to do. They do it well, but you're starting to see defenses respond to it, and you're starting to see some panic buttons a little bit with the Kansas City Chiefs, especially going back and watching that game against Washington. Every team gets caught for sure, but it's really interesting to see that the Chiefs are starting to have some struggles, and that's okay, but it doesn't mean that they're garbage. I hate seeing that take, and I'm not trying to defend Kansas City because they're still a beast. But speaking of beast, our guy Tez is coming in here with a question. If Teddy is as below average as most people say, is it possible that Vic Fangio was never the issue and that Drew Lock was? If Vic Fangio is able to do this under Teddy, maybe he didn't have a fair shake from us. A good question from Tez. What do you think, Nick?
I mean, we are very much looking under the microscope here when it comes to Vic Fangio not having a fair shot compared to other coaches, because this is the case for 99.9% of coaches, right? If you don't have the quarterback, you're going to be probably out of a job in 3 to 4 years, give or take, most of the time. That's why, I mean, there's a lot of talk about Carolina's head coach, Matt Rule, jetting back to the college game because his quarterback situation in Carolina is trash. And if you don't have a good quarterback situation, you're probably going to be fired before long. So as far as Teddy being below average, if you stack Teddy up against the starters in the league, he's actually pretty darn average in this season, maybe even playing slightly above average. There are limitations to his game, but part of being a quarterback in the NFL, it's not just the peaks, it's the valleys, right? And you say that maybe Vic didn't have a fair shot. Well, we saw it in a microcosm of Drew Lock's career in Denver, going out there and putting the team in bad situations, not outright losing it for them, but making it much harder. Your quarterback, causing or being one of the main reasons for you to lose games last season with the turnovers and whatnot. So I would say Teddy is average. Vic getting a fair shake. He's getting as fair of a shake as anybody. I mean, that going into this gig, that if you don't have the coach, it's going to be, or the head quarterback, it'll be tough. So that's the reality of it.
Yeah, and Vic has made his bed to a certain extent, where he's had a bunch of more than questionable calls, but has had the opportunity to remedy them and really hasn't. In some ways he has, and in other ways he hasn't. But I would say Vic has definitely gotten a fair shake. I mean, I would say a lot of his assistants have too. It's one of those things. I'm not so sure it's loyalty as sometimes being stubborn. You look at Tom McMahon, whose job has been called for since the preseason and training camp, and Vic just will not let go. So he's stubborn in his own right, but as far as Drew Lock, that experiment's over. I mean, we've seen him come in as the backup and not do well, or fail, if we're going to be honest, and no ill will. I'm not mad about it. It is what it is. And I am excited to see Drew go somewhere else. I can't for the life of me figure out why he's still on this team. That the coaching staff doesn't want to play him. That is so evident. Teddy Bridgewater, if he has a pulse, he's going to be out there playing. So not diving into politics or anything like that. It's just, it is what it is.
Yeah. Speaking of is what it is, Diamond Rattler coming into the sport here, $5 on YouTube. Thank you so much, Diamond. It's great to see you. Hope you had a good holiday. Hope that Thanksgiving is good, and December is off to a good start with you as well. So yeah, getting more into this Kansas City game. One thing that also really stuck out to me here is that as far as ball control, the Kansas City Chiefs and the Denver Broncos are two of the top 5 teams in the NFL this season as far as time of possession per drive. So that means that don't blink, guys. Don't be off in the bathroom break too long, or don't run and go get pizza because you're going to leave and half the game is going to be over. Both these teams are really doing a good job of running out the clock and minimizing opponent possessions. Now, the Broncos and the Chiefs do it very differently. The Broncos are the 4th slowest in terms of play-to-play in the NFL, so they take a long time to get from play-to-play. Chiefs are very explosive from play-to-play. I think they're the 2nd fastest in the NFL, so the pace is totally different. The big difference between the Chiefs is that they have the most yards per drive in the NFL, the most plays per drive in the NFL. They also have the most turnovers per drive in the NFL, or second in turnovers per drive in the NFL, only behind the Chiefs, or behind the Jets. Broncos, they're not getting the explosive plays or whatever, but they're slower, they're methodical, so I guess the long way to get to here is every single possession is going to be extremely important in this game because there's not going to be as many. Both these teams' time of possession per drive indicate you're only going to have 9-10 times with the ball. So you have to maximize every single time you have it. You cannot be thinking, oh, we're going to get in the red zone and only come away with 3. You have to be aggressive when you're in the red zone. You have to come away with points in the red zone or you're cooked.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the Broncos are +1 in the turnovers and Chiefs are -7. So, I mean, it's bizarre when you look at that, and you shouldn't take that for granted, but it just kind of tells you this could be a street fight. I know I've been seeing some predictions out there where it's, a blowout, and I don't think any of us would be surprised if that was the case. We'd definitely be hurting, but Fangio has definitely got the experience to go after the Kansas City Chiefs. I look at what he did to Justin Herbert last week, and he did a good job disguising a lot of coverage. For Pat Mahomes, I think you're going to have to ultimately go cover 2, obviously mix up some press, some shell, maybe some umbrella coverage as well with your alleys. It's going to be tough, but that philosophical question of what do you do with Pat Mahomes? Do you blitz him? Do you rush 4? It's tough, and you've got to kind of pick your poison. Our guy Jay, what's up, Jay? It's good to see Jay. It's been a little bit. Jay Roper coming in the house with a hello and some support. Happy Thanksgiving. Hopefully you're doing well. Jay, let us know. And Broncos country, I want to open it up. How do you think the game's going to go tomorrow? Because I feel like there's a new excitement in the Mile High City, Nick. I'm seeing a lot more people wearing Bronco jerseys and Bronco stuff now, which is cool. It's something that's been a little absent in the Mile High City for some time. So let us know how you think the game is going to go. We will get to our predictions at 7. He's Nick. I'm Luke. This is MHI on your Saturday night. We really appreciate you guys joining us. And let's get to Zebulon with a really, really awesome comment and some support. Zebulon coming in here with Draymond Jones has got to step up and outside and outshine Chris Jones. Nick, Draymond Jones, he's going to be in the thick of things against the Kansas City Chiefs offensive line. What's going to be the key to success for him against Pat Mahomes?
Oh man, Draymond Jones. It's classic for a defensive lineman, right? He has to be able to hold up in the run game while he has minimal help around him. The Broncos are going to try to play a lot of two high shells versus Kansas City. Patrick Mahomes, it's really just such an incredible stark difference in his efficiency and ability with single high safety versus two high so far this season. So the Broncos are going to try to empty the box, dare the Chiefs to run, and make Patrick Mahomes play smart check down football. If they can do that, the Chiefs can still put up points, but they're not going to gash you and kill you with that. So as far as Draymond being able to stop the run without that minimal help, and also that slow kind of Indiana Jones wall crushing pass rush. If you get too liberal with your rush lanes, Patrick Mahomes will step up, create an explosive plays. He'll step up and then go sideways, buying time, that scramble drill, and then chuck it up vertically. So it's rough. You have to be very disciplined in your lanes, and that's both rush and pass. And sometimes that means you're not going to get home, which is a double-edged sword, but that's probably better than leaving you exposed to the big play.
Yeah, I like that. And Draymond doesn't need to do it all on his own. He's going to have Shelby Harris and McTelvin Ajim, who came into his own. I was just talking about how I was upset with him last Saturday. Maybe he was listening. I don't know. And he's out there getting a sack last week. Absolutely love it. So interior defensive line, they've got to hold their lanes. You're exactly right. The pass rushers, you can have them, Malik Reed, Stephen Weatherly, Jonathan Cooper, pin their ears back and go. But if that pocket gets collapsed initially, Mahomes is going to have some problems. And he's facing a secondary, and I see some comments about Kyle Fuller, and I get it, but he's facing a secondary that's more than respectable. I mean, PS2, man, let's talk a little patty cake, dude. AFC Defensive Player of the Week, absolutely awesome. I immediately think of George Payton. What he's doing with this rookie class, Nick, it's got to make you feel good for the Broncos' future long term.
Yeah, it does, and I'm very happy to have 5 top 100 picks right now to ponder the possibilities for the upcoming season. I mean, the flexibility is going to be awesome, and maybe they go get a great quarterback, or maybe they just invest another 5 top 100 picks in this team. Either way, you're setting yourself up nicely to build a really good foundation. And Billy Ray Valentine coming in here saying, talking about, I really hope they don't let Kyle cold hot dog water Fuller play Sunday, because if he does, we're toast. Mahomes will victimize him all day. Big first down for the Hawkeyes. Woo! Going to the tight end, you baby. Anyway, this is a cold hot dog water, Fuller. I think Fuller has been okay from the slot, and you're making the most of the situation here. But really, this speaks to the offense. The offense has to throw the ball somewhere, right? And good offenses are going to identify matchups to throw the football. And this is why I get sometimes a little frustrated with people harping and screaming about linebackers and coverage. If they're throwing it to the tight ends short of the sticks and they're picking constantly at the linebackers, it's because they're not throwing at the cornerbacks, because your cornerbacks, they identified as not a good enough matchup. Ball's got to go somewhere at some point against good teams. You're going to see guys get picked on, and they've identified as Fuller as that guy. I would rather have that be the slot cornerback that's getting picked on than Darby or Patrick Surtain on the boundary or getting beat by the safeties over the top. So yes, it'll be frustrating. But again, the ball does move. I know we all want to see the overarching, just crushing defense, where the sack after sack, punt, interception, just killing them. But this is a good team. They're going to be able to move the football. As long as you're not getting killed, I will live with it. But this is an interesting conversation for the future as well, because I think defensive back is very much on the table early in the draft again, this upcoming draft cycle, just because of this Fuller position.
Yeah, Billy, Nick, I love it, man. Hot dog water. I absolutely love it. I feel like some Limp Biscuit, right? The chocolate starfish and the hot dog flavored water. No, Kyle Fuller, can you not show the quarterback your back? Just one game, that would be great. Bryce Callahan, if you could play more than, a few games, that would be great too. But Kyle Fuller, you need him this year. There's no questions about it. I thought at one point he was going to get traded, but I'm really curious to see how they play Pat Surtain tomorrow. In training camp, he was able to cover Noah Fant. He can play wherever he wants, but I think they're going to have him moving a little bit. I think you're going to see him on Tyreek Hill. I think you'll see him on Travis Kelce. I think you'll see him all over the field, but you hit the nail on the head, Nick. Go ahead and surrender that middle of the field via run or pass. It beats over the top every single time. And if you're playing that cover 2 and you're Justin Simmons, and dare I say, I'm at the point now where I want Caden Stearns to play rather than Kareem Jackson. I'm there. I'm there, Nick. Like, I don't need the thumper in the run defense. That's not Vic's defense anymore or any of that. Kareem has played so out of place over and over. I want Caden Stearns in there, man. I'm at that point.
I got a big question for you. Why not both? The Broncos, the last 3 games where both your starting linebackers have been healthy, Baron Browning logging 100% of the snaps. Man, it feels good to have Baron Browning, right? I feel great about that one. That was one of my draft crushes. I was over the moon when they took him, and he's making me look smart out there. Thank God. I love you, Baron. But Broncos' second linebacker, Kenny Young. What do you think his snap percentage is? That's your number 2 linebacker. You'd think he'd play a lot of snaps, but in the game versus Dallas and the game versus the Chargers, where both Young and Browning were healthy, what do you think his defensive snap percentage was?
Oh, I'd go 72%.
Low 60s, 60 and like
Okay.
62. So
Right.
the Broncos, and you have Fuller, who is your third defensive or your third cornerback, playing 95 to 100% of the snaps, or 95 to 98% of the snaps. So you're seeing way more defensive backs out there, and that's even true with Caden Stearns playing a lot. So with the Chiefs, how they want to play this almost 10 personnel with Travis Kelce being a wide receiver of sorts in a lot of the alignments. Why not work 6 defensive backs there? Why not have Jackson, Stearns, and whatnot? And if they want to rush the football and take the ball out of Patrick Mahomes' hands, God bless you. That's exactly what I want you to do.
Nice. I like that, Nick. So almost in a sense, you could almost use Kareem Jackson as almost that in the box linebacker without being in the box, because they're not going to run the ball. I mean, and there's the middle of the field. I mean, so that's interesting. I like that. You know what I really like is our guy Travis Weber, man. Travis has always got our back, no matter the time, day of night. I absolutely love Travis. Good evening, Luke, Scott, and Broncos country. I'm sorry I've been MIA. Never apologize. For a few days, I got in a meme battle with a Raiders fan. I posted a meme that went against Facebook standards. Oh, no.
Travis.
Dude, that's what Raider fans do. Y'all are rats. Y'all ratted on my guy, Travis. How do we feel about Mike Boone filling in for Melvin Gordon? Honestly, I'm surprised that George Payton did not try to trade Drew Lock. I feel like a wasted position sitting on the sidelines, and Lock's time to find a new home. A lot there. Let's talk Mike Boone first of all. I poked around Mike Boone today. Some folks in the building in the know, and they told me you're going to like what you're going to see with Mike Boone. I don't think it's going to be a dynamic workhorse load, because Javonte Williams should be getting that if the Broncos are still running the ball. But he's being described as a pleasant surprise. What do you think Mike Boone will look like tomorrow in Kansas City?
Well, this might be a shock, but from a pure height, weight, speed, athletic testing, what is it? The SPARK scores that George Payton really likes. Mike Boone might be the best athlete in that running back room on this Broncos team. He is explosive when he can get to the second level. Obviously, sometimes that can be an issue for him. That's the reason he's not a better running back than some of these other guys, but he's very explosive. I don't think we're going to see too many carries with him, maybe like a 75-25, 80-20 kind of split between him and Williams, but he's going to get some work as well. And I'm curious to see what type of looks they have for him, because I'm not sure if he's going to be as apt in the shotgun pass protection role that you see from Javonte Williams. So maybe it'll be more first down, obvious run looks, play action, over the top looks with Mike Boone in there. But I think Melvin Gordon, you're going to miss him in this game, but Mike Boone is not incompetent in any way.
Yeah, I agree with that. Melvin Gordon, as much as I hate to say it, has been a good player on this team. I don't like him. I just as a player, because I feel like he's very, he hasn't quite got there. And I mean, there being where I thought he would be when he was drafted out of Wisconsin. I mean, he's got so much athletic talent, and sometimes I think he gets a little distracted and he's a little selfish. But with regard to the Drew Lock comment, Trav, I got to say, man, he doesn't have trade value. I'm sorry. That's just the way it is. Teams are not asking for Drew Lock. If the Broncos go out and they trade for a Russell Wilson or Aaron Rodgers, which is we can't expect that here in Broncos country. I know that's the familiar narrative that we have driven into our brains, and I've written about it. Nick's written about it. We've all talked about it on air. It's there. There's no ignoring it. But if Drew Lock were to be traded, I feel like it would be in a deal like that. Hey, let's say for sake of the argument, Russell Wilson's here, Aaron Rodgers is here, one or the other, and they just want Drew. Okay, take him. Drew, I think, should be walking the streets right now, a free agent, and signing on with a team that needs quarterback help. I would love to see it. I just don't think we're going to get there. Harry, go ahead, Nick.
Yeah, the thing about Drew Lock for me is that if you are not good enough. You were a second-round quarterback who has struggled so far at starting position in the NFL, and now you're going out there playing even worse as a backup. Your only reps right now are going to be either winning a quarterback battle in the offseason, in a lowly quarterback battle, like, say like Drew Lock versus a Ryan Fitzpatrick type of thing, or going out there after your starter gets hurt and executing as that backup. So I get that the excuses and whatnot, where he's like, oh, he hasn't been prepared as the starter, or he's not meant to be a backup type of guy. Listen, if he's not meant to be that kind of guy, then he's going to be out of the league here soon, because he's not good enough and he hasn't proven enough to be anything else. So like, better figure it out and play better in those situations, because that's your opportunity right now. And you have to earn your way back up to bigger opportunities down the line.
Exactly. And it's like, if he's not why is he not ready? Like, it looked like he was having a great time on the sideline last week when he got out of the game. And it was like, dude, are you just complacent? Are you good with it? I don't know. I don't really care, if I'm gonna be honest. It is what it is. And, Drew, you've had your shot, man. But I will say this, a distinction I would like to make with the backup quarterback. Drew Lock is a better quarterback than Brett Rippon. I think Brett Rippon is a better backup quarterback than Drew Lock. I think that distinction is important, because the arm strength, yada, yada, yada. I think if Brett Rippon was the backup quarterback, the coaching staff would feel a lot more comfortable. They wouldn't have to bail on the game plan. They wouldn't have to change the offense to fit Drew or Brett. Brett's able to go ahead and move forward. I would love to see Brett get that opportunity. I don't know if we will, but our guy Harry's coming in here with a very generous $10 super chat donation. Really, really appreciate you, Harry. Do you think that Pat Shurmur will incorporate more heavy personnel, i.e. 22 or 13, as Lance Sanderson suggested that he should? No. He doesn't like to run the ball, Harry. I'm sorry. He's a former tight ends coach that forgot he ever taught tight ends. And those are Chip Kelly stats when you look up, that Philadelphia Eagles team. It's not Pat Shurmur's. So he could say that he likes to run the ball. He doesn't like to run the ball. I think you're lucky if you get two tight ends in the game and they both block. I would love it. I love going jumbo. I love trying new things. I love the big boys. You got to let them eat, but I just don't see it, Nick.
Yeah, there's such a weird dichotomy here with personnel usage and the outcome of the play. Like, you actually have way better efficiency across the league for running out of 11 personnel and passing out of 12, because it's really dictated on box numbers and personnel on the opposing side of the field. If you can get a team to play 3-4 or 4-3 and you have two competent tight ends, that's a mismatch, because you have less speed and coverage guys on the field. However, if you're playing 11 personnel and you can spread them out and have the small guys out there and less people in the box, then you can run it more effectively. So really, I'm not sure about playing more 22 or 13 personnel or 13 personnel or anything like that. But I do want them to be able to throw it more out of that position with the guys like Fant and Okoye-Benon, because you're going to be able to create more vertical stretch with slower guys on the defense when you do that.
We talked about sleepers to open the show as our topic of the show, and this is a good chance for me to get one sleeper in that I just thought about as you were talking about the tight end. Eric Saubert got a touchdown recently. Not really known as a receiving tight end, is kind of that traditional Y, if you will, and was awesome in training camp. I absolutely loved his grit. I loved him spiking the ball on Kareem Jackson in the end zone. I loved all of it, man. And maybe Eric Saubert, he's an unsuspecting offensive target. If you see Eric Saubert out there, you're probably thinking, okay, this guy, we don't need to really worry about him in the passing game, but he's sneaky and he can get into the end zone.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. He's one who's sneaky for me. I think the one who's sneaky for me, and this is talk about a trial by fire. We talked about him a little bit earlier, but Baron Browning, coming up last week, having to go up against those Texas routes and playing 100% of the snaps after dealing with injuries and cross-learning two positions in the offseason, and it being injured in the offseason too. Going out there and having to cover Austin Eckler in the Texas routes, and this week having to go up against Travis Kelce. Hello, son. Welcome to the NFL. This is big boy football. And he's going to go out there and he's going to make some mistakes. There's no doubt about it. He's not going to look perfect, but as long as he doesn't make the big mistake and is up there able to clean up and limit some of those other plays, then that's going to be the big key. Oh man, Michigan with a huge play.
He's
touchdown.
He's worthy, Nick, of 56. He's worthy of Al Smoke Dog Wilson, man. I've been waiting for someone to be worthy of that number, and it wasn't Shane Ray, and I love Shane, but it wasn't Shane Ray, man. And Baron Browning, you're exactly right.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember, I was so just overvaluing linebackers last draft. I wanted everybody in like the second and third. I wanted, Pete Werner. I wanted all those cats right away, Baron Browning, but Ohio State Cats, man, Jonathan Cooper, Baron Browning. What can you say about this rookie linebacker that's been asked to do it all? And Nick, to see him cover Austin Eckler, I mean, you talked about it. That's just, if you haven't had a chance, go watch that on the All 22, man. Watch it. A linebacker of his size be able to move like that. That's got to make you feel good, especially when you know that Andy Reid likes to motion his receivers, his running backs. He loves to use the running backs in the passing game as well. So you don't necessarily know if you have your Kelsey killer, but maybe you don't need it, Nick. Maybe it's time to pick your poison, Travis Kelsey or Tyreek Hill. It'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, and obviously famous last words here, but Kelsey's not been the Kelsey of old this season, especially in isolation football. That really hasn't worked that well for Kansas City on offense this season. So we'll see if that'll remain the same for the Broncos. At least they're not going to go out there like Gus Bradley in that Raiders game where, hey, we have all this data that says Patrick Mahomes is much less efficient against 2 high safety shells. Let's just stick with the cover 3 because God willing, that's what's got me this far, and it's going to be great, and then just get absolutely killed by that look. So we're not going to see that with Vic Fangio in this week, and hopefully it'll limit them some. Another guy who I want to talk about being a sleeper, and Travis coming in again with stars, I'm sure. My Utes are waiting. Nick, yeah, I don't know if that's going to happen. Iowa just gave up like an 80-yard rushing touchdown, but Devin Lloyd added to his draft stock. Devin Lloyd looks really good. Yep. If he was there for the Broncos picking, 16 on, I would be interested because you want to take difference makers. But I don't know if the Broncos will be in range to take him, and I still feel a little bit dirty taking linebackers early because I like a lot of the linebacker depth in this class. Lando Lee, speaking about depth, coming in from the depths over on Facebook. Thank you so much, Lando.
Thank you.
For the support, and go Broncos. Another sleeper on this team I want to talk to, and I feel like
I love that name. I love that name, by the way, Lando. Like, dude, I'm a huge Star Wars nerd, man. I mean, it's in my name, for heaven's sake. But I gotta wonder, man. Have you ever been hit with the "I don't trust Lando"? I just absolutely love it, Lando. I trust you. I appreciate your support, big dog. Thank you.
Yeah. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Lando. We also got Diamond Rattler. Now and again, we try to just stay alive. Maybe we'll turn it around because it's not too late. It's never too late. I think those are lyrics.
It's not too late. It's never too late.
Is that like Linkin Park or something? I don't even know. 9 Inch Nails.
It's not Linkin Park. Hit us up there. Clearly, we got to stick to what we do, right? Which is the analytics,
3 days
draft,
grace.
football, 3 days grace. All right, thank God someone has got us going. No, but before I so rudely interrupted you, I think you wanted to ask me about a potential sleeper, Nick.
Yeah, somebody who I think has just been really not hyped up enough, and especially for this last game, and rightfully so, somewhat as well, because Patrick Surtain had such a good game, but like. The reason the Broncos pass rush was looking like it was, and the reason the Broncos were so able to stymie the Chargers is because they locked down both boundary cornerback spots. Patrick Surtain on the right, Darby on the left. Darby had one of the best games of the season from a cornerback I've watched. Now, he didn't have the ball production, but his ability to hang with Mike Williams on a few of those plays when they were targeting him and they were almost perfect throws. I mean, that's almost impossible to stop when you have 2 cornerbacks on the boundary that can play that tight of coverage consistently. So I know that, Dart Fuller was the shining star brought in free agency. He hasn't lived up to it, but kind of made Darby less heralded. Then you have Patrick Surtain on the other side, getting the interceptions, wearing that number 2, all really flashy. But Darby's playing really, really good football as well. And if you can lock down both boundaries with Surtain and Darby, it really condenses the field. It changes what you can do with your safeties. It can change what you can do with your pass rush. And he is a sleeper. He needs some praise because if he keeps playing like that, you have 2 legitimate boundary studs.
That's a really good one, Nick. I really hadn't thought about it. You kind of gloss over Ronald Zarby as the forgotten man in the defense just because he hasn't really stuck out. He hasn't been available a ton. He hasn't missed a ton of time either, but he's just kind of been a jag. Just another guy out there. He has had some missed tackles and blown assignments, but who hasn't if you're a defensive back? But you're right, Nick. When you go back and you watch the film against Mike Williams, I mean, who's a very physical receiver in his own right. And I mean, Keenan Allen and what that Chargers team can do, that's impressive. I mean, so I like that. Ronald Zarby, we talked some Caden Stearns. So you've got some sleepers in the defensive secondary, which is good considering you've got the highest paid defensive secondary in all of football. Peter Middleton coming in with some more support. We really appreciate you, Peter. Thank you very much. The Von Miller trade keeps looking better and better. They thought they would win the Super Bowl. Nick, is it just me or is Sean McVay desperate?
I mean, they got to be a little desperate, right? They look really soft right now. They've become a team that is relying completely on the quarterback to win it with them with hero ball, and Matt Stafford's going through a lull right now. I mean, maybe that's something we talk about just the quarterbacks in general. Everybody expects them to be these gods every single game, but you need to have a good enough team around them where if they have an off day, you can lean on something else to still win. Unless you're Aaron Rodgers this season. That's about the only one. But the Von trade does keep looking better and better, and I don't fault the Rams for going in on Von Miller, but maybe the depth and the identity of that team got a little bit too thin and too soft and too flashy, and now it's starting to come home because depth matters, and they've been trading away picks like crazy, not hitting on picks at a huge rate either, and it looks like it's starting to show as the season gets longer and these games get a little bit more physical as the season gets closer to the end.
Yeah, it's tough when Matt Stafford's out there throwing pick sixes. I think the last 3 losses in the last 3 games, or maybe even 4. That's tough. It's I don't know. It's tough for me personally. Not that I'm a Rams fan, but I enjoy watching Sean McVay's teams, and I enjoy watching the NFC West now. And used to not be the case when we were kids. Remember that? How awful the NFC West was, and now it's a really good division in football. And you see the Cardinals who have climbed out of the pits of hell, NFL hell, and are a great team in the NFL. And you see the Seahawks who have been king of the hill for so long, struggling a little bit. And you got the Niners who are on a bounce back. It's an interesting division. Keep your eyes open. Our guy Joe is coming in with some more support. We really, really appreciate you, Joe. The Broncos the Broncos KO return D is 32nd, 35.7. And then the difference between 32nd and 31st, 35.7 is greater than 27.2, is the same as the difference between 31st and 3rd. I absolutely love it, Joe. We've got another analytics guy in the house. Fire Tom McMahon. I love the show. Go Broncos. I absolutely love it. Joe, you're going to know the answer to this question if Nick doesn't. What's the name of the special teams coach for the Kansas City Chiefs? David Tobe. David Tobe. Remember when he interviewed? Wasn't he an interview for the head coach of the Broncos the same year Vance Joseph was hired? I mean, this man, Joe, this is a great comment. This man is one of the best, if not the best, special teams coach in all of National Football League. And when you start talking about special teams and what the Broncos can't do, they can't have any farces on special team tomorrow. I mean, they can't be in the soup, right? Like you like to say. It's one of those things, man, where special teams wasn't an issue last week, and you saw some really good punts.
Yeah, this is a good point as well. The Broncos kickoff D, maybe there's a little bit of, I mean, like there's not that many kickoffs anymore, right? And in Denver, your sample size is going to be super small because they kick it out of the end zone almost every single time for kickoffs. And also there's not that many kickoffs because there's not a lot of possessions happening. But still, Broncos special teams has been bad, and they cannot afford to be that bad this week. We also have Travis saying his pick is Caden Stearns for the sleeper. Nice. I mean, maybe it feels like because we're so close to it, there are no sleepers. You know, I keep going through names like, oh, I can't say that guy's a sleeper. We obviously know about him. We can't say that guy's a sleeper. Big O for Travis as well. How about this? I like the Big O one. Kansas City this year against the wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2, tight end, and running back. They have the 28th defense in the NFL versus running backs in the pass game. Maybe a little bit. I mean, you're going to miss Melvin Gordon in the pass game in that sense, but maybe we have another Javonte Williams, 50-plus yard reception where they can get going against those Chiefs mediocre linebackers.
I would love that, Nick. And sometimes you see the running backs being utilized in the passing game, and it essentially works as a running play in itself. As you watch football this weekend, Broncos country, you will hear commentators talk about it ad nauseum every single game. Whether the running back gets 2 to 3 yards or they get 5 to 6. I mean, you chalk it up as a positive, and within context, depending on where they are with with the clock, where they are on the field, it can essentially serve as a run. So I would love it. Short dump offs. It's a good safety net for Teddy Bridgewater. It's something that he prefers to do. Check down Teddy. So I would like it a lot. I think Jonathan Cooper could be a little bit of a sleeper. He's going to be playing Orlando Brown, who's got 6 penalties this year and has allowed 4 sacks, 11 hits, and 30 total pressures. Really interested to see how Jonathan Cooper does. Obviously, in 11 games, he's got 2 sacks and 11 solo tackles, but he's still a rookie also, trying to find his way in the league. So it's a great story with the Dallas Cowboys and how he just played with his hair on fire, but to expect him to be Von Miller isn't something that he's going to do. I'm just excited to see him continue to develop a la Baron Browning.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And Colin, to answer your question here, Melvin is out for this game. It's going to be the Javonte Williams show this week. Talking about the Javonte Williams show, I did some more digging for the Broncos in this game, just trying to see if there's any sort of edge that the Broncos might be able to get in this game versus the Kansas City Chiefs. And one thing that really struck out to me, I know a lot of people have made big issues with Teddy Bridgewater on third down this season, but the Broncos have had one of the highest yards to go on third down this entire season. Why is that happening? The Broncos are consistently losing on first down, specifically when they run the football. This year, when the Broncos rush the ball on first down, they are 30th in DVOA at negative 26.3. They are also 27th in EPA per play at negative 0.159. However, when they pass the ball on first down this season, they're 4th in EPA per play at 1.94, and their DVOA is 29th at 26.4. And Kansas City, almost the exact opposite. Kansas City is one of the worst passing first downs in the NFL this season. EPA per play ranked 31st in the NFL. DVOA ranked 30th in the NFL on first down pass attempts. So I know that we are wanting to run the football. This is a team that wants to run the football, but I want to see some tendency breakers for Pat Shurmur in this one. You have to hit some shots against Kansas City. I want to see more throwing on first down to take advantage of what these metrics tend to show.
That's interesting, Nick. As you were saying that, I can't help but think about Mike List from this last week. And he kept saying over and over, all over the airwaves and in print, the Broncos are going to need to pass at this game. The Broncos are going to need to pass in this game. Guys, I don't necessarily think that's opinion. I think sometimes when you hear those things, you should kind of take them for what they are. And that could be a potential foreshadow to what the Broncos and Pat Shurmur are thinking. And well, I cringe when I hear that. And when I hear you listing those stats, it makes sense as to what I'm seeing. And I can't help but feel many times the Broncos are running the ball on first down and they're having success, only to come back with a holding penalty or something else, some other sort of farce that brings them back. And then they're in big trouble. And then they abandon the run. It's really, really tough. I think that to go into Kansas City and think you've got a trio of wide receivers, that 2 of which are paid and one's on his rookie deal, and things look great in the wide receiver room. If you think you're going to go in there and go schoolyard with Pat Mahomes, with Teddy Bridgewater, you're going to lose this football game. But find creative ways to use the passing game. It doesn't need to be bombs down the field to Tim Patrick and Cortland Sutton. Those don't always work. Use Jerry Jeudy. There's a name we're not talking about. Why aren't we talking about Jerry Jeudy? This man's going to be in the slot, and he should have a day against the Kansas City Chiefs. You got Juan Thornhill and the Honey Badger. All right. I'm really not impressed with the Kansas City Chiefs defensive secondary this year. Steve Spagnuolo, I don't quite trust him, but that's okay. I don't trust Shurmur either. It's just one of those things for me where Jerry Jeudy can have a huge game. We're talking about Tim. We're talking about Cortland. Number 10 needs to get a little bit of love too. And I think number 10 and Teddy Bridgewater, they've got a good connection.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's going to be they're really going to need to do that. And I see Tez coming in here saying Nick is a terrible run stat because of Javonte Williams. Most of run stats, just in general, are because of the offensive line play. That's something to write that one down. However, Javonte Williams, I went back and calculated every single rush attempt on first down so far this season, excluding goal to go situations, because obviously that's not super indicative because you don't have very far to go and the defense is going to be very condensed. But run stuff rate, Javonte Williams is 4% more likely to be run stuffed, or has a 4% higher run stuff rate than Melvin Gordon. And also, so that's 0 or less yards. And he also is 6% higher to have a run of 3 yards or less than Melvin Gordon. So he also has way more explosive runs of 15 plus yards or 10 plus yards. So very much boom or bust. That's the big one. But also I think some of it is game flow. A lot of teams know that the Broncos want to run the ball, and Shurmur wants to run the ball. So they're running the ball on first down. But this is why you run the ball earlier this season. Maybe sometimes in that game, the metrics don't line up, but you are setting up tendencies to take advantage of when you need to pull that bag out. And this is the game to do it. First down play action over the top. Oh, the Broncos run it more on first down than almost any team in the NFL. Well, guess what? Hit you over the top for a quick touchdown and we're off to the races. So these are the kind of things that you need in this game. And executing and passing the ball efficiently on first down is going to be, if the Broncos are going to win, they're going to have to do that.
Yeah, it's interesting. Javonte Williams, his utilization should be in both the passing game and the running game. But one thing I feel like I can definitively say, Melvin Gordon, you are not going to be a starter for the Denver Broncos ever again. I'm sorry, but when you return to full health, Javonte Williams has got this job. We said, everyone and their mother predicted it. About midseason, Javonte would take over as the number one back. Well, here we go. Javonte and Melvin have both had great seasons as a 1 and 2 dynamic pair, and both have had problems fumbling the balls, getting stuffs, situational football as well. But I think Javonte Williams is just, I don't know that he's going to be a bell cow in this game because of the opponent, but it's clear who your starter is at RB1, and I don't think the Broncos are going to be looking back.
Yeah, I agree with you. Some final stats I wanted to get to on this game was the Broncos, because it's going to be a low possession game. And let's get to Peter first real quick. What's the worst prediction you guys have made this season?
Jerry Jeudy is the MVP. I did not foresee, I didn't foresee Tim Patrick being on this team, if I'm going to be honest. So my worst prediction, Jerry Jeudy, based off of training camp, I went with my MVP. Why is that my worst prediction? Because training camp doesn't necessarily foreshadow how the season's going to go. It's all we have to go off on. So it's not like any disrespect to Jerry Jeudy or anything like that. I still think he's a great player, but there was no way that I thought the Broncos were going to sign both Courtland Sutton and Tim Patrick. Heck, I was writing articles why Tim Patrick should be traded because I didn't think we'd get any value for him if he just walked off into the sunset. So I would say Jerry Jeudy is MVP just because with Teddy Bridgewater and stuff like that, that was probably a little unrealistic to have a wide receiver as MVP of the season.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. Mine is probably Noah Fant taking the next step forward. So far this season, he's been pretty similar to last season, underwhelming. Maybe even his blocking has taken a step back. So that's my biggest one.
Yeah, and I think that makes sense. Noah Fant.
My internet?
I see. No, I hear you. You're up. You're good.
Okay.
You're good. Yeah, no, you're good. Noah Fant, I've seen his name listed as a sleeper in here too. And that's interesting. A first rounder as a sleeper, but I can go there. That argument can definitely be had that Noah Fant and I think, Nick, correct me if I'm wrong, I think the Chiefs are like 5th worst with covering tight ends in the red zone. I think it's a stat I saw this week. So hello, Alberto. Hello, Noah Fant. This is why you guys are here, especially Alberto with that size. But Noah Fant, you should be able to use that seam. Tyrann Mathieu should be worried about Noah Fant in the seam, but he's probably not, if we're being honest, because Noah Fant's not being used in the seam, something that he was drafted to do. So, I don't think either one of us can really blame the other, Noah Fant and Jerry Jeudy. Jerry Jeudy obviously having a better season than Noah Fant, but it would be nice. How nice would it be to see number 87 come out and dominate on Monday Night Football or Sunday Night Football, excuse me. And it's something that I heard on the local radio this week. Travis Kelce's going to be getting so much airtime on Sunday Night Football, and they're going to be comparing tight ends. How nice would it be if Noah Fant finally took that step on prime time when it mattered most? Potential sleeper.
Yeah, I mean, and going up against Nick Bolton, Willie Gay Jr., Anthony Hitchens, this is a team that's not very good at the linebacker position, so they should be able to do that. Biggest thing for me is that we talked about it earlier. People get frustrated about the Teddy checkdown stuff, and why aren't the weapons getting the rock on the boundary? Well, because right now you are playing backup offensive linemen almost straight across. And you have a conservative quarterback as well. And the run game is working, right? You play to win the game. There's no style points in the NFL. But in today's game and against Dallas and especially against the Chargers, you didn't have to do anything but that. It's like another reference here. It's like Hitch, it's like stay in your lane. This is where you live, just snapping back and forth dancing. You don't have to do anything funky. You're beating the absolute bleep out of the Chargers. This is a game though. Yeah. This is a game where you're going to have to get a little bit fancy and you're going to have to be a little bit aggressive because a lot of data says that you don't have a shot in this game. So you're going to have to make those plays. So hopefully Broncos take advantage of it. And another one, like I said earlier, Chiefs 31st in the NFL in turnovers per drive. You're going to have the opportunities. Patrick Mahomes is going to put the ball in harm's way. Chiefs fumble the ball at a higher rate than any other team in the NFL. But you can't be like Justin Simmons last week where the ball went through his hands, or piddle out once you get the turnover. When you get the ball in good field position, you better be coming away with points, and not only points, but 7. You have to do that. You have to squeeze out those upper end outcomes in this game to win.
Patrick Surtain will intercept Pat Mahomes at least once this year. I don't know if it's going to be tomorrow, but I just think he's going to, for the fact that if you're Pat Mahomes, Super Bowl champ, MVP, aren't you going to test the rookie corner? That you've dominated the Broncos. Pat Mahomes has never lost to the Denver Broncos. Once you pick on the rookie corner, wouldn't you want to see, is he really the AFC Defensive Player of the Week? I'm Pat Mahomes. He could be the AFC Defensive Player of the Week. I want to see that matchup because I think this kid, number 2, is the real deal. He is here to play. This is why you drafted Pat Surtain. If we're being honest, this is why you drafted Pat Surtain, to beat the Chiefs. A couple years ago, it was Jerry Jeudy and KJ Hamler. Why? To beat the Chiefs. Well, use Jerry Jeudy. KJ Hamler, obviously not going to play and hurt, but use Jerry Jeudy, use Pat Surtain. You can use these things, so it's got to make you feel good. Andrew Lampy coming in, making us feel good. Hey, fellas, hope everyone is having a fine Saturday night. I'm sorry, Nick. Not looking so good for you at this moment. Here's what I will say. 14-0 Michigan. But the thing is, parity, and the way that football can close, change, all those things, man. College football, weird stuff happens in college football. I mean, I know you're not feeling good right now, Nick, but there's tons of time. Yeah. It's going to be okay.
I mean, Iowa has fallen back pretty early in multiple games this season, but it's going to be pretty tough. And I think I'd rather lose to Michigan than Ohio State. That looked like holding on 3rd and goal, but whatever.
I don't like the hardballs. It's not even that I'm an Iowa guy either, but I just don't like them. I never have. And, especially the Michigan one. Is that one Jim Harbaugh? I can't. Yep. Oh,
Jimbo.
Oh, Jim, what the things I can say about Jim. But no, Andrew, we really appreciate your support. You guys have been absolutely awesome as we start to close out MHI. He is Nick Kendell. I'm Luke Patterson. We got Scott on the 1s and 2s. Jelly coming in with a $4.99 super. Appreciate you so much. Fam, I asked the other MHH guys about this, but what do you guys think of Dan Quinn? What type of offensive coordinator do you predict that he'll add? Realistically, who's QB1 and QB2 for 2022? Hashtag MHH love. I absolutely love it. Let's leave that one up as we start to wrap up the show. I'd like to hit all these. What do I think of Dan Quinn? I absolutely loved watching him as the interim head coach the other night on Thursday Night Football. It was cool to see his players absolutely respond to him and love him. He's in the booth all the time, so it's not something that you really get to see. I've talked to some former players of his that are now retired who absolutely love the man. I haven't heard a bad thing. The one thing I would say about Dan Quinn that I have a little bit of hesitation towards is sometimes I think he gets caught up in the bumper sticker mentality, a la like a Pete Carroll. But the thing about that is he's authentic. He's himself. He's not showboating or trying to play for cameras or anybody else but him. That's who he is. He's the guy with the backwards hat. He's the guy that, is crying when he's cutting guys, not because he's a weak coach, but because he actually cares. I mean, so I like Dan Quinn as a good candidate. I'm interested in that. What type of offensive coordinator do I think he would add? I would hope it wouldn't be Kellen Moore, who just abandoned the run game. I'm so tired of these OCs abandoning the run game, trying to get cute and create jobs for themselves. Kellen, you're already a candidate. Okay. You just run the ball and do what you got to do.
Yeah, as far as Dan Quinn, I'll probably lean on Scott for that one when we have a chance to talk, since Dan Quinn was his head coach for a while with the Falcons. But it does seem like Dan Quinn is very well liked in the locker room and can connect with his players, something that you haven't heard as much from Vic Fangio. Now, I am a not anti-cover 3 defense, but I'm really against utilizing the cover 3 defense in today's NFL. You have to see what the trends are right now and see what works for you. But I think he'd be a good leader in that sense, and I'm not sure who he'd bring in. Maybe a Darrell Bevel, maybe somebody else, but we'll see those connections when we get there. Who is quarterback 1 and quarterback 2 for 2022? Right now, it seems like it'll be Kenny Pickett and Matt Corral, but we'll see. I saw Kenny Pickett had like a really kind of almost a dirty play in the ACC championship game going on right now. He had a fake slide. He was acting like he was going to slide. Then the defenders held up, and then he stops the slide motion and ran for 57 yards for a touchdown. I'd maybe hit the absolute bleep out of him next time if he's going to do that. But those are probably the top 2. Maybe Sam Howell or Malik Willis gets a chance to work their way up there, but we'll see.
Yeah,
and also
hey,
Andrew, we got to give a shout out to Andrew Lampy for the stars as well. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I was just going to tell Andrew, don't you worry, dog. Iowa's on the board, 14-3, Michigan. As we start to close out MHI, let's get to some predictions. Nick, do you want to do the honors for how you see this game going on Sunday Night Football?
Yeah, I think, unfortunately, the Broncos have a chance, and they only have to, if they lose to the Chiefs 1 in 10 times, if they played this game 10 times, this only has to be that one time, right? Like anything can happen. Saying the same thing with the Hawkeyes versus the Wolverines, who are moving the ball efficiently right now. But, things can happen. But I do have the Broncos losing this game. I just don't think they have enough ability. Oh, Hawkeye interception. Let's go, baby. Jack Campbell, amazing.
See what I say? Look, all you needed was Andrew Lampy in the house, and then we got things turned around.
But as far as the Broncos Chiefs go, I have the Chiefs covering the spread just barely, 31-20. I think that Chris Jones is going to eat up the interior, Dalton Risner healthy or not, and that's going to absolutely just put the Broncos in a total funked, both in the run and pass game. And I don't think the Broncos have enough offensive firepower or defense. Also, this is something we haven't talked about either. Broncos defense, when they're good, they're amazing, but they're 28th in the NFL so far this year in variance. So that means in their good games, they're awesome, and then they absolutely put some absolute bleeps out there. Which Broncos defense is going to show up? That might be the biggest key to the game because we just don't know. They're so inconsistent week to week. But I have the Broncos losing this one 31-20. We'll see.
Man, that's close though for a Chiefs game. I feel like 31-20. It's going to be interesting. We didn't talk a lot about the defense because you kind of know what it is with the Chiefs. You're either going to blitz Mahomes and live with that decision, or you're going to sit back and try to contain those yards in Tyreek Hill. We talked about it earlier as well. Who do you want to cover, Tyreek Hill or Travis Kelce? Pick one and let it go. If it were me, I would let Travis Kelce eat. I really would. Tyreek Hill, I'm sorry. I cannot live with the deep bombs. I can't live with the dynamic plays. I can live with over the middle, and I think that's what Vic Fangio's doing. His run defense kind of supports the same sort of philosophy as well. I've actually got the Denver Broncos winning this game, 26-23. Very, very close game. I've got a weird feeling about this game. Maybe I'm just going to, make an ass of myself, something I usually do. But I think it could be a trap game for Kansas City. I really, really do. That's not to say that it's a changing of the tide if the Broncos win this game, but it's a huge nod in the fan base's direction that, hey, we're going to figure this out. We've got that monkey off our back, at least for now. And then you get the Chiefs at home. How many Broncos fans are going to show up for that game? If you can go into Kansas City, come out of there with a victory at Arrowhead, one of the toughest places to play on Sunday Night Football. So you beat a great Cowboys team, you beat a great Chiefs team. Man, just like you say, all of a sudden the Denver Broncos are back in it and they're leading the AFC West. So I think it can be a trap game for KC. I don't think if they lose this game that they're necessarily going to care all that much because they are going to come revving back. And speaking of coming to revving back and just getting us out of the show, Stone Carranza is coming up in here with a $5 super. What is your opinion on Kyle Fuller's performance so far, and how do you think he will do against KC? So, Stone, we actually got into this a little bit earlier in the show. Basically, I think Kyle Fuller is a necessary player on this defense right now, especially without Bryce Callahan, who does play that slot position so well. Now, Kyle Fuller definitely was in the doghouse. He got benched, and then he came back out of necessity with Michael Ojemudia going down, Bryce Callahan going down, all of those sorts of things. I think he's going to have to do his best and have some help with the safeties, especially Kareem Jackson, Justin Simmons, and even Caden Stearns, Nick, something that you mentioned as well. Try to get as many high-quality defensive backs on the field as you can because KC is not going to run the ball.
Yeah, I mean, especially if Clyde Edwards-Helaire is also dinged up and whatnot. And if they beat you with the run game, so be it. But you don't want to get killed by the back-breaking over the top throws because that's when the game's over. Yeah. So we'll see. Like we said, Broncos are undefeated, or whichever in all the games the Broncos have played this year, whoever gets to 10 points first wins. So let's see if that can continue this week. Start off hot and put the pressure on the Chiefs. Season's not over. The Broncos lose this game, but man, it could be really fun if they do win. So Travis coming in again saying, great show tonight, guys. No predictions from me. Just going to watch and hope it's good. Have a good night, Nick, Luke, Scott, and Broncos country. Mile high salute. We're going to give you guys a mile high salute and get on out of here so I can see my Hawkeyes hopefully chip back in here. You guys can follow Luke on Twitter at Luke Patterson LP and myself at Nick Kendell MHH. Also make sure you're following us at MHI Pod as well as at Mile High Huddle. If you guys are on Facebook, join us at facebook.com/Mile High Huddle and facebook.com/Mile High Huddle Pod. And make sure that you are subscribing, liking, and sharing the show to all your social media platforms. Hopefully the Hawkeyes can chip back in, and hopefully we have a good game with the Chiefs and Broncos tomorrow. So what's the rest of your night look like?
Patty cake, Pat Surtain. I am so ready to get this man in the game in Kansas City. I can't wait to see it. The rest of my night, man, it's going to be college football, dude. And then it's going to be football all day tomorrow. I can't wait, Nick. I'm so excited. Like, my hands are even a little sweaty right now. I've got the goosebumps. I'm excited, man. Meaningful football, the Chiefs. Man, I've always hated the Raiders, but I am slowly starting to really dislike Chiefs Kingdom and that red and the loudness, everything about them. I don't like these guys at all, Nick. So I really want them to eat some crow.
Yeah, for me, with the Raiders, it's more of like I actually do like just they gross me out. You guys are disgusting, and I don't like you.
I'm the same way.
The Chiefs, it's more of like a jealousy thing. Good fan base. They have they really pack it in there, and they have the quarterback and an amazing coach, and they have an ownership group that has a lot of money that isn't afraid to throw it around to support their team. So it's more of a jealousy thing, unfortunately, with the Chiefs right now. But our day will come. We had our day, and eventually one day a Broncos day will come again. Football life is cyclical. So thank you guys so much. Have a great night. Hopefully the Hawks can chip back in here with the second quarter just starting. You guys stay safe. Choose kindness. Go Broncos.
Go Broncos. I hate you, Chiefs.
You've been listening to the Huddle Up Podcast. Join Broncos Country's deep divers at milehighhuddle.com to keep the conversation going. You've been listening to the Huddle Up Podcast. Join Broncos Country's deep divers at milehighhuddle.com to keep the conversation going.